What's up everyone? In today's video we're going to talk time management. Time management is a super important topic and I don't think it's addressed the way it should be in terms of beginner Amazon content and helping you actually get started going ahead and building a profitable Amazon business or side hustle. It's important to understand right off the bat that there's a lot of stuff to learn right when you get started with Amazon, and your day one is going to be completely different than your day 100. How you spend your time when you're initially getting started is completely different than how you spend your time when you're already an established seller with a profitable business. The different daily activities change, and a lot of the daily activities actually get a lot more efficient or you eventually outsource them. Then you have time to only focus on the highest ROI activities that actually make your business move forward. There's a saying I really like that goes something along the lines of the grass is greener where you water it, and I think that could not be more true in really business, life, and anything, but specifically on Amazon. If you put attention into stuff that's going to grow your Amazon business, naturally, the longer you stay at it, the exponential curve where you're going to see improvement. If you focus really hard on learning product sourcing, which is what you really need to learn, then you'll see results as you move forward. But right when you get started, it's going to be absolutely confusing. There's going to be a ton of stuff to learn, so let's talk about right when you're getting started versus when you're already established. So when you're just getting started as an Amazon seller, there's a ton of stuff to learn. You're very confused. You maybe just stumbled upon this video, you've watched some of the other videos. There's a ton of stuff to learn right when you get started. There's a lot of different software, sourcing methods, different types of products to sell, even different business models, and it can be very confusing. The context of this video will be in regards to Amazon arbitrage, which is just buying low and selling high, flipping name brand products through Amazon, which is what I do. Make 6 figures in profit a year doing it. Started really figuring it out last year and since have done over $1 million in sales. So I have very relevant information that can help you if you're looking to do that, or just any type of Amazon business model. In general, the daily activities will just change, but the principles are the shoe nonetheless. So right when you're getting started, it's important that you need to learn the basics, right? So there's going to be a lot of time you need to put in up front to learning how to create a shipment on Seller Central, how to list a product, how to read a Keep-It chart, how to look at sales rank, reviewing different product categories and all that, dealing with ungating. But the good thing is a lot of those you only have to learn how to do once or get the ball rolling. Once you've done it a few times, it becomes second nature. So what you do day one and your first week, your first month, which is a lot of those first time things you're doing the first few times that eventually will become second nature, are very time consuming and really confusing, but you have to understand your day one is going to be completely different than your day 100, right? I'm well over a year into selling on Amazon now, and what I do now is completely different than what I used to in the terms of the products I sell, how I find profitable items, and just the day-to-day operations and how I go. But when you get started, you're going to need to learn how to create a shipment on Seller Central first, how to list your first product, eventually getting your first sales, sending your first FBA shipment and all that, and that's going to be time consuming, but making money anyway is time consuming. There's a lot worse ways to make money than this. Alright, so let's talk about high ROI versus low ROI activities. So, a high ROI activity is something that really makes you money, right? It's a high return on investment. So if you're going to put time into it, it's going to pay off well. And a low ROI is the exact opposite. So it's something that doesn't necessarily move the needle. It needs to get done. There's a lot of stuff like that in any business, but it's not necessarily something that makes you money. So let's talk about what a high ROI activity is in an Amazon business. So luckily, with Amazon and just reselling in general, we're at a very specific advantage in that we don't need to do any marketing for our products and we don't need to create products, which if you're doing traditional e-com, building a brand, building a private label brand, all that, you'd have to spend a lot of time focused on getting customers and improving your product. The nice thing is we're reselling, so we're just selling name brand products like Legos, for example, that people are already searching for, so we don't need to create any demand on our items. That means our time is best spent going out and finding more items, sourcing items. If you're doing online arbitrage, that probably means running tactical arbitrage searches, looking through lists, doing manual reverse sourcing with SellerAmp, and all that. If you're doing retail arbitrage, it probably means driving out to different stores, which, if you're doing retail arbitrage, start learning online arbitrage because in my opinion, it's a much better model and it's a lot more scalable. But finding items is all that matters in terms of building a profitable reselling business. So, the majority of time should be spent finding profitable items or putting systems in place to find more profitable items, which could be delegation, which we'll talk about a little later and all that, but sourcing profitable items is the high ROI activity that really matters. In terms of low ROI activities on Amazon, it's kind of everything else. There's obviously varying levels of those, but low ROI activities can include managing your listings, doing some different numbers and everything, creating shipments, actually doing the man labor of like getting shipments ready, and all that. Now, obviously those vary in terms of their severity, but they're things that could eventually be outsourced, and as you grow and scale, a lot of that stuff eventually is, right? People often talk about delegation and stuff, and that's really important, and easy things to delegate in terms of Amazon include hiring virtual assistants. Virtual assistants are great. I have one of them editing my video right now. They're very helpful. You can also get virtual assistants that have experience with Amazon from sites like onlinejobs.ph that have experience sourcing wholesale products, sourcing online arbitrage products, and I'll probably make a full video on how to do that best pretty soon. Another common form of delegation in the Amazon space is hiring a prep center. So what exactly is a prep center? A prep center is basically a third-party service that'll intake your inventory and prep it and send it off to Amazon. You're typically pay a flat fixed rate per item, so let's call it like $2 a unit or something like that. And it makes sense for them because they have employees that understand how to do all that, and it's really systematized for them. So they can have a big warehouse, intake 50 different clients' inventory and send them off to Amazon, and you can focus on paying that flat fee, and then you get a lot of your time back to go ahead and find more items. So if this is also super relevant for people that live in like high-rise apartments and don't have a super accessible living space that want to make a ton of money on Amazon, hiring a prep center is a great idea. Obviously there's an added cost, but you're paying for that time and that space that you don't need, right? If you're doing 3,000 units a month and you live in an area where warehouse rent is $5,000 a month, right off the bat, not even to mention the other costs of having the warehouse and everything, it's more cost effective to have the prep center depending on the cost and everything. So you have to weigh that into the equation on which way you want to go. Not to mention just to the HUD space of managing different things and everything, and working with the prep center is a great option. It's something I'm actually working on implementing in my own business. In terms of how to minimize your time spent doing low ROI activities, it oftentimes comes down to understanding where your time is actually going first, so then you can then address that. It's gonna take a lot of time to be successful with Amazon, especially when you get started if you're not starting with a ton of money. But you have to understand that what you do now is probably different than what you do in the future, especially as you grow and focus more on those high ROI activities. Sourcing's what actually makes you money. Creating shipments does not make you money, right? Getting different products listing does not make you money. It's necessary, it's part of the cog, but it's not one of those things that it's part of the equation that really grows it and exponentially can multiply the profitability of your hustle. There's different degrees of what you want to go ahead and delegate, but common things people look to get done right at the start are product sourcing via virtual assistants, being on different services that provide leads. But I'd highly recommend really focusing on understanding how to find stuff on your own first. That way you're self-sufficient and you're not relying on anyone else to find items. Then eventually you can bring VAs on, train them and everything, but that's just my take on that. The other one is prep, like we talked about with the prep center. So that's a very good resource to do, whether it's someone you know, an employee, prep center, all that. It's a really good recommendation to work on getting prep out of the way, or at least some of it, which is what I currently do with the hybrid between working with the prep center and just going ahead and doing stuff my own. One thing I was talking about with my friend Garrett recently on a recent stream was the ease spent of finding a product, right? If an item can make you 25% ROI, but you can sell 200 of it a month, that's probably better than an item that maybe makes you 60% ROI, but you have to work really hard to find those types of products and you can sell less of them a month. There's a different type of equation to talk about the volume needed to grow versus just focusing on really being super profitable. And one thing that really helped was taking a lower level of initial profit, but being able to source a lot more of those items and really grow, because there's tons of low-hanging fruit with Amazon, especially when you get going and you put in the time to understand how to find items at the start. You spend hours doing it and eventually low-hanging fruit starts finding you. Another saying I really like is the harder I work, the luckier I get. I don't know who it's from, but it's a great saying, but it's very true for this type of stuff as well. The more time you spend finding profitable items, the more money you're gonna make. That's just the way it works. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I'm really working on making my videos better, working on better topics that are really going to be relevant to you guys. We have a bunch of students within our FBA roadmap program, so I get to do a lot of Q&A with them and really understand the struggles of growing from 0 to 10K a month in sales, and then eventually 10K a month to beyond 20 to 50K a month, and then getting up in the 6-figure a month range in revenue, not profit, revenue, which is what I'm currently doing month to month. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.